1,670 days. That is how long a U.S. Marine Corps veteran was locked inside a Russian prison. His name is Robert Gilman, a 32-year-old American school teacher from Massachusetts, and for more than 4 years he lived in dire conditions. Gilman is finally back home on U.S. soil. This week, the Trump administration helped secure his release on humanitarian grounds because Gilman was so close to death, essentially unresponsive, that U.S. officials feared the time was running out. The president says that Russia asked for nothing in return. To this day, advocates insist that Gilman was wrongly detained for, according to his father, accidentally kicking a police officer. His only crime, they say, was being an American. The nonprofit organization Global Reach worked with the Gilman family each step of the way to help secure his release. The group's chief investigative officer, Kieran Ramsey, is joining us now. Kieran, I appreciate your being with us. We are so glad that Robert Gilman is home safely, though he is in really tough condition, as evidenced by the photos we've already seen. Any update on his recovery right now? How is he doing?
So he's getting world-class medical care at Brooke Army Medical Center as we speak. But, you know, it's the start of a very long journey for recovery for him, not only just from a physical health sense, but think about the dental health issues he may have, and most certainly the mental health issues that he's gone through.
Can you describe for a second, Kieran, for us the torture, what he experienced when he was in Russia and why he was there in the first place?
So that's the tragedy of this whole story. He never intended to be in Russia. He intended to transit through it. He was on his way to a teaching job in Moldova when he became violently ill in Moscow. He had to have to convalesce in Russia to get better. Then fast forward to January of 2022, he went to go to the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, became violently ill again. And that's where Russian police came upon him on a train. And they thought he was drunk and began to assault him. Now, of course, they said he assaulted them, which we believe is bogus. But that was just the start of this nightmare. At this point, though, again, we're just thankful he's back here on U.S. soil.
So it's striking that Russia obviously gave up Robert Gilman for, as the president said, for nothing in return here. This was after years of effort. Can you give us a sense of how much effort, how hard it was to make this finally come to fruition?
Well, this was a years-long effort, and certainly the family is grateful to scores of government officials who were working quietly in the background, and then, of course, to the president and his senior-most team that pushed this over the edge when it counted most. Again, admittedly, we shouldn't have to wait for any American to be almost dying to sprint and get them home. But the fact remains, the geopolitical competition between Russia and the U.S. unfortunately includes this hideous game of hostage diplomacy where Americans are targeted in Russia, are leveled with false charges, held as political pawns, essentially. And then it takes all of this effort to get them free. But again, thankfully, in this case, we see Mr. Gilman home, but we still have our own firm has 5 other Americans stuck in Russian prisons.
I want to ask you more about those other Americans in a moment. Let me just follow up with one other thought on Robert Gilman. And first of all, the president and the Trump administration certainly deserve credit. They're the ones who got Mr. Gilman home. So we're glad that he is back home and hopefully getting all the care that he deserves right now. But as we saw in some of the video, he and his mom were given these red Trump hats before they even reached U.S. soil. Only the administration, obviously not the family or your organization, has released the images of Robert now being free. Clearly, everybody celebrates an American coming home, but is there a danger to maybe politicizing his return? The fact that he's not wearing a U.S. hat, but a Trump was right about everything hat handed to him by Sebastian Gorka and Steve Witkoff there on the plane with his family?
You know, the tough thing is with any of these cases, while they're being held and then when they're coming home, we don't want this to be a political issue. And we talk about this a lot with members on the Hill. We never want this to even be described as a bipartisan issue. We want this to be a nonpartisan issue, an American issue. And getting these people home should be one of the top priorities of the U.S. government, whether it be from Russia, from China, from Iran, from Afghanistan, and the list goes on. And again, when they come home, the most important consideration is getting them the mental health, the physical health treatments, everything else like that, because they went through a living hell, quite honestly.
At least 9 other Americans are being held right now, to the best of our knowledge, in Russia. As you noted, your group is representing 5 of them right now. For the families, obviously, this has to be a bit bittersweet. The good news is they saw someone else being held is coming home. The bad news is it's not one of their loved ones right now. Does this give fresh hope, or what does this do for the next opportunities and the desire to get other Americans home?
We try and frame this as a hopeful sign, certainly. And we've been having contact with the families of Olga Jesler and Alexander Antonov and Chuck Zimmerman and David Barnes and Andrei Khachatorian to tell them, look, even though this wasn't your loved one, we know that they're overjoyed to see an American come home regardless. There now is another path illuminated forward that perhaps the U.S. government can take advantage of, that perhaps the Russian government can see forward for, and make sure that we prioritize them, just like we have Americans in Iran, like, Kamran Hekmati and Reza Valadeza, or in China, Yulin Chen. I mean, I have just too long of a list. But anytime we see an American come home, that means we've got a new sign of hope that we need to capitalize on.